Hello everyone, Marty 16 Wrestlers here, and today I'm guys my thoughts on The Walking Dead Season 9, Episode 6. It's titled A New Beginning, and just gonna give my thoughts on the episode, and that's it. I thought this episode was average, gonna stream here, and I'm gonna give my main issue with this episode, and that is I don't find this episode to be 100% believable. Now granted, The Walking Dead is not meant to be the most believable show. I know it's a fictional show, but to be fair, there are some parts I can actually believe it could happen. However, this episode for me, I just don't find believable. I do not believe in from when Rick blew up the bridge 6 years later, they would have found at least no recruits. I just don't find that is believable here in the show. I think that was crossing a bit overboard, and I find that whole thing just not really be believable. Now that being said, the new characters they introduced, Magna and her crew, I do like. Not as much as Rick, but I do like them. You can kind of see where they're coming from and all that. Another negative was at least early on when they found the crew, Magna's crew. They kind of treated it not the best. Like, remember back in season 5 when Rick saved Father Gabriel? He asked him the questions and all that. I know it was meant to be a direct parallel for when Rick arrived at Alexandria, but I just found Rick's way of doing it a little more believable. Not really the way they did in this episode. Now, there were definitely some highlights of this episode. I really enjoyed that court scene. The scene where it was revealed Magna had a knife. And for me, I thought that was arguably one of the scariest scenes in the whole show, because this is something I really enjoy the show does, is that it can always make a very small scene, a scene that you think is very small, but yet make it kind of scary or make you like shiver. A great example of this was in season 5, episode 15, when Pete comes in and he has like a shocked face when Jesse tells him to, he has to leave instead of Rick. He goes from a shocked face to a very creepy, happy, to straight up yelling, and it always freaks me out. Yeah, because sometimes when I watch that, I have to pause it, turn it down at times. Yeah. Now, I want to get my quick thoughts on Judith really quick. I want to quickly address, there is a 90% chance I may not like Judith's character later on. Put that in your mind, later on. In this episode, I thought she was a good character. She kind of really felt like she was honoring Rick's legacy. I thought she was a good character in this episode. So, I'd be surprised if I liked Judith in season 10 and 11 and all that. In this episode, we had some sign language. This is something TV shows and movies don't typically use, but sign language is a really unique way, and I like that they had subtitles so that way, because I didn't understand, but I was able to understand when they added the subtitles, because it makes it easier for me to understand it. I'm not a fan of my boy Gabe hooking up with Rosie, though. I'm not. Nah, I don't like that relationship that much. And it's not because I like Gabe and I hate Rosie's characters, because it just came out of nowhere. Like, I know a lot of people really aren't there are a lot of people who don't like Rick and Michonne, but At least, even if that somehow came out, at least there were in season 5 where flirting with the two, and even season 4 as well. I'd say that you could kind of see them more in a relationship, not really Gabe and Rosie, because I don't remember from season 5 to season 8 these two really like flirting with one another. I don't really buy Gabe and Rosie that much. Overall, this episode was just an average episode. I'm gonna give it, I guess an I. Yeah, so an I. But what are your thoughts on this episode? Let me know down below, and as always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye.